it's InkdMage, and if you've been following me here, or especially on Instagram for a while, you'll see that I get a lot of questions about where do I get the things that go on my gaming table, the things that I use.
Just get those wonderful toys.
So, well, I am fortunate enough to get preview copies to share with you for things that are upcoming from WizKids, like the Icons of the Realm, then Richten's Guide to Ravenloft stuff that's coming out. This, look, it's the Grave Drinker. And I've got some more minis to show you from that. So let's go ahead and take a closer look. Let's start with the case-sensitive piece, this massive Undead purple worm right out of the gate. Now, I'll give you a little sneak peek of a medium-sized mini, just so you can see the absolute huge nature of this mini. I mean, look at the mouth. Can easily swallow a miniature humanoid. Well, miniature of a humanoid, I should say. So this isn't a grave drinker, and it is an undead purple worm. Look, there's all these necromantic runes on it. And you can see it's got a, instead of the purple color, it's got a gray color because the life has been drained from it. This thing is heavy, but what an incredible mini. And it's gargantuan, really. And the gargantuan purple worm, that came out earlier, maybe comes up to about here. This is, certainly a quarter again as large as that. What a fantastic mini. You could use this as a purple worm if you didn't have one. Just pretend it's purple or paint it. You could use it as what it's meant to be, a grave drinker, or perhaps even as something else, a monster of your own devising. Or perhaps as something else, a monster of your own devising. But either way, this is a really, really fantastic mini. Just look at it. Your player characters should be terrified when they see this. Okay, so here it is. So this series is based on this campaign setting book, then Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. And in it, there are a number of domains of dread, rather than just Barovia, where Strahd von Zarovich is from. There are other domains of dread with other dread lords. So I'm not going to go through and tell you the names of each one. I'll give you a close-up look, but these are all named figures, largely, except for example. And let's start out with this Displacer beast. So this one is not a named mini, it's just a monster. And I have to tell you something, I'm very excited about this, not only because of the tremendous sculpt on it and how it looks, but I don't have a Displacer beast. I know what you're thinking. I have so many minis. How is it possible I didn't get a Displacer beast ever? Well, they were always rare minis. So this is really good to get. And you know what? I'm so thankful that my first Displacer beast is this one, because this is the best one I've seen, and especially, as I always say, with that clear base. How incredible. Now, I'm not sure exactly what this creature is. I have the book. Yes, it's right there. That is my book. But I've only breezed through it so far, because I've already run Curse of Strahd, and as much as I'd like to go back and do it again, my players were terrified, and I don't think they'd like to do that again. Maybe in the future with a different group. This thing looks kind of like a cross between a deer and a werewolf. Manifestation of Leors, or however you say that. That's pretty terrifying. It looks like a nightmare out of folklore, right? So you could use it for what it is, and I'm sure the stat block is in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, or you could make it something of your own choosing. Let's see, we also have an unspeakable horror. Look at this thing. This thing is like a nightmare, some sort of, I don't even know, is it like a combination of like bones and plant? Or is it just some sort of plant-based creature? That is terrifying looking. And you can see how big it is compared to others. I mean, this is a huge mini. So that is a great, great miniature. And this, so this is what, a star spawn emissary, a greater one. To me, this looks like it's inspired from John Carpenter's The Thing. The writhing mass of tentacles and wolf heads, and maybe a boar's head. Look at that snout. I don't know. This thing is a horrifying abomination. And again, I'm expecting that it will be found in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. But, you know, there are a lot of times when I need a creature of my own devising, and then I go searching for a mini that would represent it. I mean, you could use this as what it is intended, or again, something of your own choosing. This thing is very cool. Now, this is a body taker plant. Now, I'm quite certain this is going to have something with some Invasion of the Body Snatcher overtones. I am a huge fan of Pod People, and Invasion of the Body Snatchers is one of my favorite science fiction stories. And no matter how many times they, you know, retell the story through film, I watch all the versions. But look at this, you've got slime dripping out, and one of the pods is opening and a humanoid is coming out. I expect that these other pods contain people as well. But this thing is just great. If you are running a science fiction or horror themed adventure, I think you're gonna really enjoy a lot of the minis in this set. They're gonna really help with your campaign. Like, for example, so this is a named character, and I think it's, you know, again, I won't do this for every one of them, you know, because they're all named, and it's not easy for the camera to pick up right now, but I've seen this illustration in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. And this is like a very creepy, look at it, it's like a patient in a bed that is a construct that like moves around. Again, this really makes me want to head back to Ravenloft, or even just create a horror campaign, you know. But, you know, my brother who's in my game, he really, you know, he really enjoys playing in the game, but Curse of Strahd and the horror theme was not his favorite. So let's see. So here we have a doctor, and she is a doctor. Her Dr. Victra Mordheim. So I think she's from Wardenshire, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, look at, she could be a doctor or an artificer, and there's her artificer tools. Or maybe she's a torturer. So there's lots of versatility. Again, you hear me say it all the time when I do the reviews for these minis. I'm always looking at the minis in terms of how many ways can I get this on my table. I don't like to just let them sit in my bins. How many different ways can I use this mini? What's the versatility of it? And I think there's a lot for this one. Let's go to this one. This one I find kind of interesting because, I mean, this can be used in a fantasy setting, but maybe you're also running a steampunk game. And I mean, there's something very steampunk about this. Maybe it's her short Annie Lennox eurythmic style hair, and the fact that she's got, you know, a Japanese styled blade and this overcoat, you know, kind of pushed up. Kind of, you know, as a kid who grew up in the 80s punk rock hardcore scene, you know, I mean, sans the sword, you could have seen a girl like this coming into the all ages show, putting down her $5 to see, you know, anywhere from 4 to 6 bands play. So this one's a little more stylized, and you know, versatility-wise, I'm not as certain yet, but that doesn't mean I won't find some versatility in this. But this certainly could be an NPC or a player character, particularly in a city-based campaign, I should think. Now I like this one. And again, these are all named characters, and she's got one that sounds sort of, I mean, it looks, you know, to be inspired by Asian, but like, I mean, and she could be if you were running that kind of campaign, but she doesn't have to be. This could be a queen or a noble lady or a high priestess or an archmage. So this one I think has a lot of versatility, and you know, whether as a PC or an NPC. I love this one. This is absolutely one of my favorite ones in this series because of the versatility. Let's see, what do we have here? Now look at this. This is clearly an arcanist, but it could also be like a monk possibly, or a cleric. See, I got some cat hair on there. That doesn't come with the mini. I'm giving you a little something extra for your viewing pleasure. But check this guy out. He's got a cool shoulder bag. You know, not a lot of minis, right? Have a cool shoulder bag. I like that. Looks like he's wearing a rug of smothering, you know, girt around his loins. I love the arcane power arising from his hand. Again, this is a great mini to use for a player character. But again, I could just as easily find use for this as an NPC. And speaking of NPCs or player characters, maybe a bard. This is a named figure from one of the domains of Dread. I think maybe the traveling carnival one, maybe. But I love it. Look at, it's got a colorful outfit. And is that a Stradivarius? Could be. Kind of a cowboy boots. I mean, again, if you were running a modern campaign, this is a great mini for a modern campaign too. Lots of detail. Look at crisscrossed belt, straps around the legs. And look at that. I don't know, that smile is either genuine or he's trying to lure us in for some sort of chicanery. I don't know. I'll leave you to decide that. This one, wish I had a bunch like this, because I'm running an adaptation for 5e of Whispers of the Vampire's Blade. It's a Eberron campaign for my youngest kiddo, and he's just at the point where he's about to hit a masquerade ball. How perfect is this one for that? Again, I'm not sure, having only skimmed through Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, I'm not sure who this is. If she's one of the domain dreadlords, I don't know, but like, look at the nice detail on her. Design work on her dress. Her pose is fantastic. But look at, she's elevated, so she's like kind of floating. Who is this mysterious figure? Lots of repurpose value for this, whether at a masquerade party or a cult or a, you know, manifestation, an avatar perhaps of an evil goddess. Lots of use, lots of value in this mini. There we have, is this another named one? Yeah, it's another named one. Look, she's got like a bear trap and a scythe. I mean, you could use this as an NPC, a cultist, or even as a druid. Again, look at the pose. You can almost picture her padding along, tiptoeing quietly to hunt her prey. like these little details on her arm, and look on her eyes. Another good mini. Let's see, what do we have here? Ooh, this is a cool one. All right, again, another named figure. Look, a crest. I mean, this could be like a royal guard, or maybe a royal person, right? Defending their nation. Long hair, braided and then wrapped or encircled by gold ringlets, maybe? Left-handed. But is she really left-handed? Is she pulling a Princess Bride? Who knows? Let's see. We have this again, another named figure. What a sinister mini. But again, that's really the idea behind Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. I mean, there's domains of dread. It's not because they're good guys. This looks like some sort of like mummy, right? Say like wrapped in like black cloth. That may very well be. Again, for those of you who are just stepping into this video, or maybe you scrubbed ahead, I've only skimmed through the book, so I'm not super familiar with everything. But this is a fantastic mini. Maybe this is a mummy lord or a guardian in a tomb. Just what a tremendous mini, you know, working some arcane power. And look at that tortured expression. Really a great mini. Speaking of tombs, this one looks like they belong in a tomb. Look at this, like some sort of, this would be great for a lich, and maybe it is a lich. Or an undead cleric. That's a very striking pose, has like a crown and a face ravaged by time. Look at the undead pallor and holding a wicked, look how this looks like a obsidian blade. This is a cool mini. This could be a great mini for the big bad in your campaign, you know, to culminate a story arc. Very nice. I love this one. She's like a noble woman holding a draft of something. Look at her hair. She's got great fringe and a smug expression. And look at her hand. Open palmed, like maybe getting ready to slap or just say welcome. Welcome to my domain. I love the folds in the dress here. And this is a mini that will get a lot of use on my table. What about you? Would you use this one a lot or even a little? You can comment on that. Let's see what everybody says. Okay, so this is there's a investigating duo in the story, and this is, I believe, a half elf who ended up, in the pursuit of taking down evil, ended up bound in a wheelchair. And this looks like that could be an arcane blaster, or maybe if you use gunpowder in your games, it could be like a flintlock. I mean, I would use this figure in an Eberron campaign, and that would be an arcane blaster. And then this would be an arcane, device to help someone who is unable to walk to get around. It might even have, a limited ability to fly as well, But this is the first of mini of this kind that we've seen, and I think I love the outfit. You know, this would be a present a challenge, right, for players who are heading into dungeons or other places. But it could be a cool challenge. Like, how do you all overcome the fact, you know, what does this person bring to the adventuring party that absolutely, you know, means they can't be left behind? Or maybe it's just a great NPC. Either way, it's cool. I love variety and versatility. And while this one may not, you know, have as much versatility, although I haven't bent my mind toward that yet, so I won't count anything out, it does present variety, and variety is excellent. So now let's come down here and let's look at these minis. Well, what's this thing? I'll show you. Now, first off, I love nightmares, and I love that this nightmare is without a saddle and a rider, because the only nightmares I have are ones with a saddle or a rider. And so this comes out, which is pretty cool, right? And then this piece slots in. Well, so let's get back to that one in a second as we look at this. Look, it's like some headless horseman. Now, the town I grew up in, look, was the basis for the Legend of Sleepy Hollow. So I'm kind of fond of Headless Horseman's story, but let's see. So you take this off, this comes off, and then, hey, I'm doing this. It's better with one hand, or two hands rather. So excuse the terrible camera work for a second, my thumb getting in there. And now you have the figure riding. I can push that down more so it looks better. I'm doing this with one hand. How fantastic is this as an option? So you can have the nightmare riding around, making an appearance in the sky, and then occasionally maybe the townsfolk or even the players get a glimpse of a headless man walking around, but then later that headless man summons the nightmare. Just great detail. And I really love the option that you can switch out the body and make it ride the nightmare. That is absolutely fantastic. And undoubtedly, this mini represents something found in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. So here is your preview for some of the outstanding minis from WizKids for the Icons of the Realm, Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. What do you think? Tell me in the comments below what you think. I'll tell you what I think in a sec. Well, I think the minis are great, and whether you are going to be running a campaign using Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, or maybe you are running your homebrewed campaign, or running whatever campaign you are running, I think there's a lot of variety here and versatility for you to introduce these minis. I think WizKids continually knocks it out of the park. Again, these clear bases, their sculpts, their paint jobs, each time their mini series, it just keeps getting elevated, and I love it. They're coming out soon. You can order them through WizKids, pre-order them. The link will be below, or you can pick them up at your favorite mom and pop shop when available. But either way, I think you're going to be really happy with them on your table and the way they help dress up your campaign. Make sure to follow me on Instagram for some extra XP, and I'll catch you for the next review.